That's it. We are live, and I hope you can hear me well. We're going to talk about Draymond Green today, based on a few things here in the channel. Our most popular videos are always involving Draymond Green and his polemic involvement in altercations and arguments and plays. So I wanted to make this video. There is one actually long form video coming in a couple of days for you where I talk about his journey and why he's so loved and hate. But I want to discuss here and I want to share my thoughts about the next season. Is it going to be a problem for the Warriors or not? And please let me know your comments in the channel as well. Like let me know your thoughts about Draymond Green, if you think he's going to be a problem for the Warriors next season. I think it's something that all Warriors fans are super concerned, and I'm concerned as well. I think the organization is concerned because what happened last season. I think Draymond Green cost the Warriors a lot. I think the games that he was out, and when you compare the record with him on the court and him suspended, it cost the Warriors a lot. It cost us being in the playing that tough situation um, where we had to play one game not home court, and then we end up being out of the playoffs. So I do think that he can turn out to be a problem depending on how he comes, with what mindset he comes to this season. I don't think he's going to change. I think Draymond Green is still going to be this guy that is always walking close to that suspension ejection line, and that's problematic. He has said multiple times in interviews that Steve Kerr, Stephen Curry, they all know and they support this style, but I do think they expect, mainly because what happened last season, they expect more control over that, right? We can't afford having Draymond Green out for so many games again. Just to recap, right? Considering everything that happened last season, one more instant on the court, and Draymond Green is going to be out for about 15, 20 games. That's a quarter of the Warriors season. That really put us in a situation where we're going to be probably not playing again. Like, look, like it or not, Draymond Green is the mind behind our defensive system, right? Because it is his best thing, his strongest point, but also because he has been in the rotation and Steve Kerr system for 11 years now. He understands really well how things work, and he's basically the masterpiece behind that. Such as that when he's not playing, we suffer a lot in the defensive side. He's also super important, and as we all know, in our offense as well. Many times he's sort of playing as what people call the point guard, just because he's the one carrying the ball. He's the leader in assists to Curry, so he is very important. And so I do think that if he doesn't play, if he get in trouble again and he gets suspended for so many games, this is gonna hurt. So I hope, considering, and that's the part that is intriguing, is that we know that he was out and he was doing therapy and he had conversations with all team members. There's videos here in the channel where he talks about that, but we don't know how deep are those things, right? Because, for example, he had all those issues and then he came back and had that ejection against Orlando that lasted like with less than 5 minutes of game, he was ejected again. So you were wondering ourselves, is like, did he really change? Like, what things are what is going on? I do believe that if the Warriors, and Steve Kerr said that during the summer, that he has no definition of the start lineup but Stephen Curry and Draymond Green. So we know he still has all the respect and all the confidence from the coach, from staff. So that sustained him in that position, and that's obviously not going to make the Warriors putting him in a tradable situation. Even though, and I know a lot of fans mentioned here in the channel that he should be traded. Um, for you that is on there, let me know. Put it there in the comments. Do you think the Warriors should trade Draymond Green or not? Um, I don't think they will. Draymond Green said recently in a podcast that he might last a couple of years more and then he intends to retire. So I do think that right now he's actually, in my opinion, the more likely one to be to retire as a Warriors, right? Considering what's the rumors around Curry, which I do think will end as a Warriors as well. But I think he's has a longer journey, despite being older. I think he's gonna stay longer with the Warriors. So I think if the Warriors don't get competitive, as he himself has said, Curry could leave, but I think Draymond's going to retire before that. So I don't think the Warriors are going to trade Draymond Green. So I do hope that he puts his mind in right now without Klay Thompson, which I think. Look, I'm not saying in this point that I believe that it's nice that the Warriors lost Klay Thompson. I didn't want him to walk away and leave and everything that happened. There's also videos here in the channel where I talk about it, the journey and the right, what I call the rise and fall of the dynasty, just because it was around the trio. You can check here as well. But I think now that he's gone, it's gonna be good because if you recall, when we lost to that playing game at the end, Stephen Curry told Draymond Green, "We are not done yet." And despite being such a short message, I think it says a lot because they probably knew already that it was more likely that Thompson would walk away. They were feeling everything that was happening during the season. And now they both have a chip on their shoulder. Can they still sustain and be a competitive team? Not even saying about title, right? But can they still be the greatest, like the guys that they were without Clay? And that's a thing that I think is gonna keep Draymond more centered around like playing, being available, supporting staff, and not letting him down, as I can honestly say he did this last season, right? Again, I think was around 21 games that he lost that cost the Warriors so much. So I think he will be better, but I think he can be a problem. So undeniably, right? If he still walks too close and don't concentrate, don't focus, don't care about it, he's gonna put the Warriors in a very tough situation. So I want to know, like, let me know. I see there's some people online there. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about Draymond Green? Do you like him? Do you hate him? I know that he's very like he's quite hated mainly for those that are not Warriors fans, and I think that is part of the deal because this style of playing, the way that he acts, it's usually like if you're not a Warriors fan, obviously you're gonna hate that. I probably would with any other player that were not from the Warriors, and that's just because he's someone that provokes a lot, right? He's always talking, complaining to refs, trying to put the refs on his pocket, on his side. He's always like chasing and annoying the fans. So he wants, right? And I think that's something that he likes, he enjoys, that trash talking, but I also like trying to get on people's nerve, which I appreciate. And I do think that competitive and winning teams and dynasties, they always had someone like that. Like so many compare him, right? Dennis Rodman and they I'm not saying they are alike. I'm not saying even the style of playing, but like he was also that important piece for the Bulls. So I do appreciate that Draymond Green is like that, but I do understand why so many people hate it. If you haven't seen, for example, I'll tell you, well, the most popular video that I have here in the channel is a short video. There is a little bit over 1.5 million views right now, where it's Draymond Green interview with Shaq, and he assumes that he tried to hit LeBron James in that 2016 finals. Not getting in the deeds of was it a flagrant foul or not. There's a whole discussion there in the comments you can check. But it impressed me how many people get it personal with Draymond Green, how much he's hated, like strongly, by a few Warriors fans that want him to be traded. Um, I can tell myself not part of that. I don't want him to be traded, and I do appreciate what he brings, but I want him to control himself. But then I don't think like it's really rare that I get on those comments anyone that is not a Warriors fan that really likes him. Hey, I see some familiar names here. I love Draymond, but he needs to stop hitting people. Yeah, I do think I think you're right. He's hurting Steph. Like, look, recently I put a video, like there's another popular video here that talks about how much he respects and appreciates Steph. And I think the best way that he can show respect is to not get himself out of the game, right? Mainly right now, like we are down one of the trio. We don't have Clay anymore. The team will need time to adjust. Is reality, like, do I like the guys that we brought it? I do. I do think that we did really good acquisitions considering the situation that we were. Debatable if we could make another big trade or not. I think that is a discussion for another day, but I do think we have chance to be better. But mainly in the initial games, we will need Draymond Green to be there. We will need his availability and leadership with the young core, with the war system, right? If you start thinking, right, there's been basically 10 years, 11 years that Steve Kerr started implementing this whole thing. The big legacies that we have, and then really understand well and are still playing. Because, for example, you have Kevin Looney, but I don't think he's playing at that level anymore, right? He had a really important, like, a few years, but he's in a downwards, in my point of view. But you have Draymond and Steph that they understand how things work and how this team can win. So if we don't have that, man, and everything is on Steph back in this beginning, it's gonna be really hard, and it's gonna be very disappointing. And I'm really curious also, like, if something happened on that magnitude, where he gets another on-court incident and then he gets out for 15, 20 years, if Steph would still be supporting him, right? I'm not saying about friendship, like they're coworkers for so long, they have been through so much, but I do think like that he's in that, like, he has that last chance to not screw things over. And again, I'm not saying that there's any expectations that he needs to push the Warriors to a title. That's what I wanted. I don't think it's that simple. Steph has said that it's not that simple, right? League is very competitive. Teams are getting better. West is, it's what we could call a wild west, because it's literally like very competitive. But we need Draymond. Like, we really need him, and we need him. I don't want him to be soft, right? That's not. We don't want him to change. He still needs to be, but he needs to put boundaries. Like, he needs to stop with the dirty plays, and he needs to stop letting what I was just saying, like the trash talking, to get against himself, right? Because the idea of trash talking is to get on your opponent's mindset, right? Like their minds, like to get them stressed, to get them nervous, to get them out of control. But when you do that and hurt yourself, then it doesn't make any sense, right? So I do think that he can do it. He needs to do it, and I hope those time off and those therapies that he did, conversation. Like, look, I know how the Warriors and in basketball in general, more than, I don't know if, for example, if you follow another sports, right? I think when you look, for example, to soccer or football, as most people call, um, things get out more often. Basketball, the NBA, the teams are really good on keeping some sort of conversations in the background, which I think is right. So I do hope that that despite everything that was said to the media, to the fans, that sounds like everything was nice conversation, like we spoke with Draymond, we are cool. I do think that someone in the background, and I hope so, really got him through his ear and said, "Look, man, we need you. Stop with this shit." Sorry for the word, but we need to stop with that, and you really need to focus on playing, right? We need you. Like, now you're a leader, you're a veteran, you're one of the pillars of this team. You need to be the example for everyone else, right? because we're gonna need him. Like we really need Kuminga to evolve, right? Kuminga needs to get better in his defense. Draymond is the guy to help with that. Tracy Jackson, I know he does that, right? I'm not saying like I remember, and you can say one case, for example, that Draymond insisted so much despite not working. He was really all the time with Wiseman speaking and everything, like for whatever reason didn't work, but he has shown over the years that he can be that leader. For many people, he's actually the heart and then the leader at the Warriors. Like, I mean, if you follow the Warriors, you know that's not 100% true because Steph is that guy, but um, he represents that voice, right? He's out there, he does his podcast, he speaks freely, he doesn't put limits on what he speaks too much. He's every time in TV. So he has this style, and I appreciate that. I do think that helpful, but I think can be dangerous. So that's how I think. I think he when to the question of the live, will Draymond be a problem next season? I don't think so. I hope not, but there is very likely that he could be. Also because we didn't have the chance yet to see how much he changed, right? It's a whole fresh like that for me. What why I say that, right? So he had those therapies that we already mentioned here as well, but he came back and the Warriors were really in a tough position now. So he will, I think the player creates that mindset. Okay, this is a tough moment and they really need me. And at the end of the day, whoever played any competitive sports know that you care more when there's more at stake. So now it's a whole new season, there's more space. So it is like, what are they going to like? They has more space to do things wrong, right? So that's what my fear. It's like now that is starting everything again, there's still so 82 games, like that he doesn't think that it's fine to make things wrong right now, that we're gonna have time to recover, right? We need to be serious from end to end, and we need Draymond folks end to end. So I really hope that Steph speak with him, Kerr speak with him, the team comes together, and he realized that it is fine for him to be that intense guy, to be at the play, to talk with the referees, but he needs limit. Like he can get in altercations, he can get like he calls himself the best trash talker in the league. But if he wants to have that title, he cannot let people get in his mind. He can be there stepping over people, punching people, like that doesn't help. Like that doesn't prove anyone that you're a really good trash talker. You're just getting emotional and you need to control your emotion, which I understand, right? Like I play sports as well, and I can tell you, like I'm not gonna be here blasting or criticizing because I get heated sometimes. I think anyone that plays sports gets, but I'm not a professional player, right? So I have less responsibility to learn and to know how to control. Professional players in NBA so much, they need to know better, right? They need to know the importance of them keeping that in line. Um, I'm gonna keep the number because I want to invite you all to watch the video that is gonna come in a couple of days. I would say that you're gonna be impressed about the millions in dollars that Draymond Green has already paid because of fines and suspensions. It's like I can tell you, it's millions. So it's very impressive. Like all this dirty plays, the suspensions, flagrant fines, he has paid already to the NBA millions of dollars just on that. Like I don't have the info right now, but I guess it's probably one of the players that paid the most, just because of the level of his suspensions, right? Because one fact, and that a lot of people don't believe, Draymond Green in the last 5 years hasn't been the player with more tax and flagrant fouls. But obviously the intensity and the things, the altercations, those are another level, and that's where he outstands, and he got famous and hated by so many other fans out of the Warriors fan base. for being dirty, and that's complicated. But that's I think that's it. So I think as any Warriors fan, we really want him to control himself. We really want him to be there, be available, be there for staff. Like put that chip on the on his. I agree. I agree. He has this. He's the mastermind, mainly in the defense side. That's 100%. But I think Steph steps over when he really like. It's funny how Steph, like in the last quarters, like when the team needs the most, then he takes the leadership at the ball and say, "Give me here. I'm gonna solve it." But most of the time, and also because of the style, Draymond Green play a very important role in the offense as well, right? Moving the ball around, finding free shooters, finding those deep passes to the ring, um, screams. So yes, he's part, and he's the brain of the team as well. Because again, he understands the system as good as staff only and no one else in the team, right? Because they have been doing this for a while and they have been together for so much, like playoff games, final games, right? So you learn the ins and out and what is important at a certain point. So that's what I believe right now, considering everything that we just said, like Thompson being out, whole new guys, a lot of young core. And remember, the Warriors are making a huge bet on this young core. Like we could have traded and let a few of them walk away and bring either like Paul George, Lauren Marketing. We had chance, but it was going to cost the Warriors a lot. So I'm not saying that I disagree that they didn't do, because as a friend once told me, a good CEO and a good GM looks not just for the next year, but for the next five, because you could bring then and lose the core, like bring someone, lose the core, and then you might not win the title, and then you screw over your future, right? So not getting too much on that, but the Warriors made a bet on the core, on that young core. Now it's responsibility of the veterans to help them develop as well. It's their own responsibility. They need to evolve, but the veterans are important part, and every single winning team has a mix of good young core and good veterans. That balance, like experience with young energy, is that making any team outstand. And you can look, I challenge anyone to look at the last 30, 40 years of the NBA and find a team that wasn't like that. It's always like that. So that is important. All right. I gonna wrap today. I appreciate the ones joined. Keep an eye on the channel. If you haven't seen yet, there are unfortunate rumors about Stephen Curry potentially leaving the Warriors, and I comment this in a long video. I did an analysis yesterday why he would leave and what would be the terms, what would happen. Obviously, no one wants to see that. I don't think that is happening. But check that video. Let me know. Let there your comments. I hope you have a great weekend. See you all